the concept of mood paintings is extremely common in our industry. I think this is going to wipe that out pretty much. And that's going to be, it's at least half of the work, man. It's just been eradicated pretty much. And it's kind of nuts. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Polygon Forest. I am Ubisoft concept artist Vin Hill. I am joined as ever by the acrylic pixel himself, Mr. Christopher Jarvis.
Hello.
Hello, and today we are going to talk about the end of concept art in the games industry, I guess. Or just the end of concept art in general. I'm a concept artist full time. It's my career. It's dying. It's going away. We're going to sort of talk about that and sort of explain what the hell we're talking about. But yeah, before we get into any of that though, before we talk about the demise of concept art and just ending people's careers, people are probably freaking out because we've probably got a few listeners, Chris, that are interested and listening to this because they're into concept art, and now they're sort of like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, I've seen a few tweets like, please stop posting stuff because it's upsetting me that I'm going to be out of a job soon.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that is kind of a bit, sounds far-fetched, but is it?
Yeah, I guess we'll get into that.
What we're talking about is Midjourney, right? That's what we're talking about. There are other
there's like
AI,
DALL-E and stuff like that. There's a few
there's
other
a Google one.
There's a Google one. I think NVIDIA kicked this off as well last year. They've got one where you can draw shapes and then the AI sort of fills it in. But yeah, we'll get into all of that. But yeah, before we get into that, Chris, how have you been, man? How's life? How's the indie game and all that sort of good stuff before we start talking about really depressing stuff?
It's depressing / exciting. My indie game is going. I'm chugging along. I've had some cool, interesting personal stuff going on simultaneously, and I'm hoping that some changes are happening professionally. And I guess all I'd say for now is hopefully watch this space and see what happens. But that has meant that the indie game hasn't been the full focus.
I see what you did there.
Found time.
I see what you did there. I got it. That was good.
I haven't found time to focus on it.
Well, you just need to find some focus, Chris. That's all. Yeah.
How is yours going?
It's going. I really didn't get a chance to touch it much this week. I did do a few little bits. Just mostly back end stuff. The first thing which I did was fix all the bugs which I sort of ran into.
I was so intrigued. Did you find out what it was? Was it something simple?
Yeah, there was a couple of things. Scriptable objects reverting back to default settings. I had to change stuff. I'm not going to go into it because it's hyper geeky, but it messed up a few of my items that I could pick up and use on other items because they changed their default sort of what they were supposed to be. So it was just the system was you're supposed to have an item here and you haven't got an item. It's I've absolutely got an item, you've got it in your inventory. It's it's the wrong item. It's what? So it's just, now that I've changed it back and actually fixed it, it's working again now. It's all good. But yeah, I've got basically the whole sequence of the whole demo now running all the way through, so I can do every single bit of the puzzle. So now it's cool because now I'm just filling it in and adding fluff, and I'm going to start making it look good. That's going to start kicking off next week, I think it is. Yeah, it'll be next week. So I'll have a bit more. So I'm going to try and carve out a little bit of spare time so I can start really improving that sort of stuff. Outside of that, I was basically I went back and cleaned up a little bit of code, which is a dangerous thing to do, but it needed to be done because it was starting to conflict with other things. And I added a cool new feature which I should have been working on months ago. I just never implemented it, which was annoying.
Can you say what it is, or is that giving it away?
No, it's a back end feature. It's actually an engine tool which I made, which was I've now got a drop down in my game manager basically, where I can just select a location in the game where I want the player to spawn, and they'll just automatically spawn there on play, which is awesome. So instead of having to manually move the character around, put the right things in their inventory just to test things over and over again, I can just use this drop down and it goes exactly where whichever point I'm in the game at, which is awesome. Super geeky stuff, but it's something that's going to streamline everything and make life a lot easier. That's for sure. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of
that's worth doing then.
yeah.
I find
I'm
it
happy that I
interesting,
did it.
Vin. I find it interesting.
Well, that makes two of us, I guess.
So I guess we should end about the end of we should talk about the end of a career for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, including me. Yeah,
including you. So, yeah, AI has been around for a while. Midjourney has come along, and it seems to be a bit of an explosion in usage, right? It's slow for the take up to begin with, and now it seems to be all over Twitter. Things are like people are popping up all over left, right, and center, and making some really cool stuff.
Are they
what
making
makes
it though? That's the thing. Yeah.
No, they're typing in really cool, really basic, ordinary, everyday words,
Yeah.
and coming up with mind-blowing, amazing, usable, photorealistic, crazy images.
Yeah.
And we've both got on this, and we've both used it. So you're a concept artist, and you've been helping out students and stuff, and you've been giving them advice and things. What is and you would help them try to get in the industry and stuff. Since this Midjourney has come out,
yeah.
Is your opinion changed on the chances of them getting a job? Like, do we think it's actually going to take bums off seats? Is it going to be replaced by art directors? We'll just do the pre-visual work. Like, how's this tool going to work in the games industry, do you think, Vin?
So there's been a lot of discussion around this, and like people are sort of treating it very binary, which is the wrong way of doing it. And
Sure.
They really shouldn't be treating this like, is it going to take all the jobs? Like every single concept art job is going to go because of this this new technology that's come around. Or is it not going to affect absolutely anything whatsoever? Everyone's going to keep their job. It's going to carry on as normal. We're just going to adapt this and become another tool that we use in our pipeline. I don't believe it's either of those things. I think it's absolutely somewhere in the middle. I think it's going to go probably more towards more people losing their jobs than people remaining and using it to just be a tool sort of thing. That's my gut feeling right now. And
where will these jobs be going? Would it be big AAA studios? Will it be smaller indie
everyone
people where like an art?
It's going to affect everyone.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's going to affect everyone. Because the way that the sort of concept art industry works right now is you get like the super seniors that are working on like the big final polished concepts, right? That are like super detailed and all that sort of good stuff, like hyper specific to what an art director needs. A lot of the time, though, in production, you'll get what we call mood paintings constantly. We're constantly doing mood paintings, which is basically like these really rough sort of concepts, which are just kind of the vibe of the scene that we're going for. Like in terms of color palette and sort of central themes, not hyper detailed or anything, just enough to sort of generally get an idea of the direction that we want to go in. And then we sort of whittle that down and get to the point where then that gets handed off to, you either work on it yourself or it gets handed off to like the super seniors in the studios that are like being able to take that and take all the last information or the last feedback and really compile the final image and really get that concept locked down. There's obviously other pipelines in the industry, which I'm not touching on either, but the concept of mood paintings is extremely common in our industry. I think this is going to wipe that out pretty much. And that's going to be, it's at least half of the work, man. It's just been eradicated pretty much. And it's kind of nuts. It's not, because people are looking at what Midjourney is right now, and they're thinking, no, I mean, there's still a load it can't do, or it makes mistakes.
If you ask for a character like doing poses, it can't do that. If you ask for specific layout of a location, it can't do that.
Yeah, it gets like quite janky in the face sometimes. Like you get like eyes that aren't like, you can tell they're not a part of the same person, or like they haven't got eyelids right and stuff like that. It sort of messes them up every now and then. People, again, they're looking at this too straightforward in that it's, okay, this is how it is right now. What's it going to be like in 2 years' time? What's it going to be like in 5 years' time? I'm looking at 10 years in the future, because if you're getting into this now and you're a student concept artist, right, and you just entered university this year and you're like, I want to be a concept artist. By the time you get out, we're going to be halfway to that.
Getting rid of half the people.
Yeah. And then what happens in 5 years into their career when they're due to become seniors? You know what I mean? So by the time they're at the senior level, their job might be wiped out, which is it's scary to talk about. Like, this is kind of wild, but it's kind of the way that we're going. And for the time being, like, people are sort of trying to be optimistic about it and say, oh, they wouldn't replace like people straight away. And you're absolutely right. There's going to be instances where studios make a stand at first.
Yeah.
Give it a few
Or there'll be
years.
like, what do they call it? Natural retirements, when people move on and change jobs or get promoted. They just don't fill
They just don't replace them. Yeah.
Just don't replace them, right? Yeah.
And there's the way that the industry is right now, there's a lot of people moving around because of COVID and stuff. Like, we've hit this point where we're just, like, people have realized that they can work remotely from anywhere and work on anything that they want to work on. So that everyone's just jumping around all the time. So yeah, it's kind of nuts like that, where we're at this point. Like, this is, I genuinely thought this was going to be like not in my lifetime. I thought this was going to be at the end of the AI thing. You know what I mean? I didn't think it would be at the beginning of it. I didn't think that we would be figuring out how to make AI artwork before, long before we actually got to artificial intelligence, where we're like talking to machines and stuff like that. I thought that would have been after that, because creativity is such a human thing, right? So
yeah,
it's not.
I think you're right. I mean, it's also opened the door for a lot of people as well. So like, yeah, you have to grind, and you have to, with traditional concept art, I say traditional, like the jobs change all the time, right? And the job had changed since we were in uni as well. Like the job of what we thought it was has changed since then.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Yeah, it changed every 5 years.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of a generalist, I guess you could say. A bit of design, a bit of coding, a bit of art here and there. But I'm not. I could never do a concept artist's job as it is now. There's just the skill. I haven't put those hours into developing those skills, right? But I've been messing about with this Midjourney, and I'm kind of good with Photoshop, and I can manipulate things. I'm okay at textures, and yeah, I can neaten up the stuff that's spitting out of Midjourney. But like the forms and the color palettes and the fine details and the textures, I just could never do it. I could never do it in a million years. Like, it's just beyond my capabilities. And I guess that's one of the things that Midjourney can do. Like, it can create things that a lot of people can't. Some people can, and some people can do a better job every time. But no one can do as detailed stuff as quickly, right?
Yeah, I mean, the most, I guess, like, the scariest thing about that in particular is that it's not just any one style anymore. Because when you're a concept artist, you focus on your craft for years and years and years, and you get to the sort of format that you want to get into. Like me, I work on like photorealistic environmental concept art. That's my jam. That's what my portfolio is filled up with, and it's all good. Going to Midjourney, you can spit out a bunch of those. However, you just change one word to like anime, and you get a bunch of stuff that looks like Studio Ghibli, just like that. Same subject matter, just different style. And if you want to change it again, if you want to do like, like outlined comic book art style stuff, you can just kick that out, one other word. You know what I mean? And it's just like the range of styles that you get with something like Midjourney, it sort of eradicates anyone's sort of uniqueness anymore, you know?
So you don't have to employ the cool like anime artist.
Yep.
You just employ the one artist that's good at.
That's if you employ any.
Like me.
Yeah.
I could be a concept artist now, right? With
yeah,
my
to an extent,
limited skill.
But like what is more likely going to happen is that Midjourney is going to become so fine-tuned that we're going to get to the point where you don't hire many concept artists at all. You might only hire the one that can take all of the Midjourney spit outs and then compile them all into like one awesome piece, which is like they're the super senior. They're able to put that stuff together, and they'll specialize in like Midjourney bashing almost, right? And the person that's actually just spitting out all the Midjourney stuff all day. Midjourney is the example that we're given. Obviously, there's other AI out there. The person doing that all day is now the art director. The art director is the concept artist, or they're playing the work of the concept artist. Because the way that art directors work right now, they have to brief concept artists. They have to like sometimes write up all these descriptions, or they have to like verbally sort of brief their artist to sort of get out what they need from them. Now they're just, instead of like typing up into a document and giving it to a human, they're just typing up a document and then hitting return, and then Midjourney kicks out for them in 3 seconds. And not only do they only get one, they got 4 of them, like in seconds. 4 different variations.
4 variations. And then if you don't like them, you just redo the variations.
Just hit
and just
refresh.
keep cycling. Hit refresh. Instead of, can you imagine how that, and you don't feel bad about asking a computer to refresh. That's going to take a minute. But you feel bad about saying, just redo the whole thing. Similar style, but just come up with other stuff. Yeah. And that might have taken hours or like a day. So what would take days is now taking minutes, right?
Yeah, and we're going to get to the point as well. Like right now, we're only getting 4 at a time because the way that Midjourney and DALL-E and all that is set up is that it takes processing power at a GPU bank or something, right? Like if NFT people are like freaking out, like they should go and look at the AI industry. Like it's the same sort of deal, but they haven't cottoned onto it yet, so it's not like deemed terrible yet. We'll see. And when that AI comes to the point that we're processing our own machines, we're not just spitting out 4 anymore. We're spitting out 20 of them every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And we can just like select or like highlight bits that we really like, and then it will like focus in on that and then make that bit. Or you can choose from like the 20 that you spat out, you know, choose like points of detail that you really like in all of them, and then it will combine them all and then up-res it and then make it nice. There's so many, it's endless possibilities. And as much as like studios will say like, no, we'll always value the physical human being to do the job. Over time, that attitude will change, because at the end of the day, we're talking about
money.
Yeah, we're talking 50 to 100 grand a year per person. Like, why would we do that when we can just spend $10 on Midjourney a month? You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference that we're talking about here.
Yeah, money's gonna talk, right? There'll be the one. It'd be like a domino effect. There'll be like one big. I can see the Kotaku article, like no big art department in big
X studio.
AAA studio. Yeah. And yeah, it sucks because it's people have a job, but
yeah, I mean, because the way that I sort of look at this and how I've been sort of explaining it and describing it to other people is look at the printer industry. Look, everyone's got a printer in their house, right? Everyone can like go onto their computer, they tap 3 buttons and it prints out. Like, go back 50 years, that wasn't a thing. Like, you had to go to a specialist person and pay them a lot of money to print something out, and talk about like, oh, what colors do you want to use? How do you want to use this ink? What sort of paper do you want? You know, things like this. Like, these are the conversations that you used to have just to get like something printed out, like a flyer or something, right?
Yeah.
And now we can just print them off in our own home. We're going that way. Like, I am the specialist printer that knows about all the paper thicknesses and knows about like how the ink looks and how it's going to dry, and I know like what CMYK like means against RGB and stuff like that, and how like it differentiates and stuff, and I'm trying to explain this to the layman and things like this, and that's what I am right now, and the printers are coming in. That's how I look at this. It's an unfortunate thing, but yeah, like ultimately I don't think it's going to destroy the concept art job whatsoever. I don't think it's going to completely go away. Do I think it's going to reduce it a hefty amount? Absolutely. I think it's like we're in sort of trouble for mood paintings.
And I guess like texture artists are a bit safer for a bit longer, I imagine. Or not?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, they're next.
So what's your advice? Training 3D? But then again, we've got other technology coming
AI coming in to do 3D. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it really depends. If you're going to be a concept artist, like specialize in stylized stuff. Like that job is going to be safer for a bit longer, but it's only a matter of time. It's really only a matter of time before that sort of stuff starts coming in as well. Because
people that want to do photorealistic, no point, mate.
Yeah, no point. It's tough, man. It's really tough. Who do I sort of give advice to get into this industry doing what they're doing? Artist wise, like anything that can be automated will be automated, and I think this is the next big push. Like we're already seeing people use AI in their sort of 3D texturing workflow. You know, it's already happening, and that's just in their workflow. It's only a matter of time before they're able to, like, an AI is able to analyze a full model and just automatically like put textures on it. All you do is hit refresh until you get the right roof on the house that you want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so texture artists are going to be out because the 3D modeler will just absorb that job.
Yeah.
So like,
because it would just be another tool for them.
Exactly.
Like a whole other person's job would just be a tool for the 3D modeler.
And that's what's happening with concept artists right now. The tool of the concept artist, because that's what I am. We've had this discussion before. I am a tool for the art director to sort of explain ideas to other people. If me as the tool can become an actual not a physical tool, but an actual tool on a computer, why wouldn't you? Like it makes total sense. Total sense. But yeah, it's not. But yeah, anyway, we should stop talking about this in theory and
talk about it and walk the walk. Right?
Yeah, we can start showing off what we've been doing. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. So this is my Midjourney. This is my Midjourney page. I've done some neon,
wacky flowers,
and the stream doesn't really do it justice. Like the detail in this thing is absolutely bananas. It almost looks like an eye.
Is that what you typed? What query did you give it to get this? Does it
neon
say?
Flower, color, moody, dramatic, detailed, photoreal, octane, unreal, render.
And you just got a free eyeball in the middle of it.
Well, no, I came up with a lot of different variations. So we've got that as one of the variations, but I suppose the eyeball kind of thing in the middle is two of them. And then I think I did, then there's some variations there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it just looks so cool, and I'm really this is such a cool tool, and I feel bad that it's taking away from people's jobs and stuff. So that was the neon flower. I was just having some fun and just messing about. Mm-hmm. And I think I typed in cat in the style of Amber Fossey, which is an artist.
Does it actually look like her work?
Nothing like it, but right. I don't know whether or not that's because I did it wrong, or she's not big enough, or her style's, I don't know, not established. It's kind of watercolory, cartoony sort of thing. So this is nothing like it. So it was a bit of a failed attempt. What was this? Cat in the style of Zeppelin Moon.
And you got a cat in a moon.
And I got a cat in a moon. Yeah. So again, if your name is things, then the algorithm can't tell the difference between a name and a thing.
It might be because you didn't use capital letters for the beginning of the names.
Could well be that.
Could be that.
Yep. Could well be that. This is one of my favorite ones. Alpaca eating cheese with a fork.
And it became a cheese alpaca.
And it became a cheese alpaca, except the texture is more like sponge with pepper on it. And I love the fact that the face is actually a cheetah face. And I just love the style, and the background is just amazing. And I never said anything about the background or the composition.
What's the what's the most successful one you've done then? That's been, because all of these so far are just sort of these are nice images that you've got on the fluke sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've purposely put in and it's gotten you exactly what you wanted?
Do you know what? No, there's nothing that I guess that means. I guess it's because I'm quite creative in what I've got in my head. I've got quite an idea of what I want in my head. So nothing has really hit a home run for me as of yet. But the cityscape that I did is pretty cool, and I wanted a cool wide angle cityscape. So that was really cool. I like that. This is my favorite thing though. Testing. I just put testing because I was seeing if my account was set up. And this came up, and I was just like, this, I love the composition. I love the colors. I love the mood of it. You can tell something dramatic is happening. If that was on my wall, I would love it. And I just wrote the word testing, and that's just what the algorithm spat out. It's just it's amazing.
Yeah. So I guess this is a great example of, because this is what most people see online as well, is this whole the failed sort of results that they want. Even though they look awesome, they're having fun with it, right? Because they're just throwing words in and stuff's coming out, and it's that looks good, so therefore it's a success to me. But I guess in the world of concept art, none of this would work, because after stuff that you're typing in, you're not getting what you want, right? So
yeah,
the skill, and this is something I've come across as well, the skill of all of Midjourney and stuff isn't an artistic one anymore. It's more to do with words you use, right? It's like the art form comes in the keywords that you need to use, because you can get exactly what you need out of it. You just need to practice the keywordage bit, and that's the next sort of step to everyone getting to that. That's why I was asking you, like, if you've personally stumbled across anything that you've deemed sort of successful in terms of, I typed in what I wanted and I got exactly what I wanted back. Like, I didn't need a concept artist. I didn't need someone else to do this for me. The AI has produced this piece of artwork for me, and it's exactly what I wanted, you know?
I guess this piece is the closest one to it, where I did lunar landscape, photorealistic, craters, ponds, moss, dried lake bed. And it did everything except for what I would determine to be a dry lake bed.
Right, because there's definitely a lake there.
Yeah. That's like a pond, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a dried lake bed. So I don't know. Maybe I was asking for stuff that, that's quite a bit difficult. I guess Cosmic Owl is pretty spot on. That's a very cosmic-y owl. Cosmic Owl psychedelic.
Sure.
That fits the bill, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I guess that's fairly accurate. Although, what I was asking to producers. Again, like when I typed in like the llama eating cheese with a fork, there's probably not much reference images for that, but like a cosmic owl, I bet people have drawn similar things, so it's got more reference, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like I can show you some of mine in that respect, and then we can sort of compare and
compare notes.
Yeah, because a lot of it is to do with how well like you word stuff out over time, because it definitely is an art form in and of itself, which is weird thing to say, like coming up with the right words to use to get artwork out and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can see my screen, right?
I can't see your screen, no. Oh, I can now.
Okay. Yeah, so like this, one of the first things which I want to do is like some tropey concept art, like just tropey sort of mood stuff.
Yeah.
And for this one, I put like Gothic castle, storm clouds, pale light, fog, resting on the morning, and I got these four out straight away, which
fits the bill, right?
Pretty bang on. So then I up-resed it and got this guy. This is about, I mean, if you got really good at concept art, you could probably get this out in about an hour, I would say. Like if you were really rushing it.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe like it would take between an hour and a day to finish this sort of thing off.
I was going to say, I mean, there's no way I could do anything like that in an hour, but obviously I'm not a concept artist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about like the super seniors or whatever, the people that are doing mood paintings for a living, right? They come in and they do this sort of stuff. Like we can sort of streamline a lot of this sort of stuff. We use photo bashing, we paint, we use 3D, all that sort of stuff. So for a sketch to this sort of level, it'll take anywhere between 1 hour and a day to get something for the art director to sort of look at. The first one which I showed,
that looks so cool.
Yeah, these guys, these got spat out in about 7 seconds, I think it was. I think the up-res took about 1 minute. So, amazing. And that pretty much nailed it. Like it got it first time. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted a castle in the thing, and like it was like, yeah, cool.
This reminds me of like one of those first villages you go to in The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Like where there's like a moat and there's like a little hut, and then you go through that, and then you're in the town. Looks amazing.
Yeah, and there's so many little details in here, like these sort of wires between the spires, and like the fact that this thing's hanging on these, and it's a smaller like little castle that's next to the bigger one, more like a guard tower or something, right?
And the bucket on the left as well.
Yeah,
on the left of the big castle. I love that. Yeah,
there's so much like little bits like that, which it just so much detail is already in there, and that's before.
Is that a crane in the cloud?
Yeah, like there's obviously like janky sort of bits that are in there. Like there's definitely a tree hanging out of there. It's like, how tall is that fucking tree? But you like, this is good enough to like take as a mood piece and just be like, yeah, okay, we want something like this, but make the castle X, Y, and Z and do this and change the light to do that. Like this is the thing you would pass on to the senior to sort of figure it out. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I can show you another one. This one's insane.
Yeah.
This is absolutely crazy.
What did you type in for that?
A lot of stuff. I I put in intricate line art, drawing Celtic warrior, swirl and mist, cloud, and I think it was roots. Yeah, roots and vines I put in as well. Illustration, character, full body. That was it.
And it seems to have like somehow merged vines, roots, and clouds and fibers as well in this cool, interesting way. Yeah. And is that a person sitting on top of it?
Yeah. So I mean, like just these little details that you would never think up yourself, you know. Just all these, and they all make sense as well, like in context of themselves. Like they're sort of like going into their stomach, like this void or whatever. Like it just adds so much stuff. I mean, this could be out of something like Dark Souls, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Super cool, and this is totally usable, and this sort of nailed exactly what I wanted. It more so. Like I thought it was going to be like quarter this, but I got this out of it. Yeah, same goes for character stuff.
The sun has got a little line, so it looks like a willy.
I'm very happy for you, Chris. Yeah, there's this one as well, which is like I put in gold liquid inside of a glass human body, female, and then I switched it up after that, and I changed it to a full body because I wanted to see like if we could get it looking like it was in mist or whatever, like walking through like this glass sort of female, because it's something that is almost impossible to draw, right? Like it's really difficult to draw something like that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see what the AI could do. And like even like this is mostly successful because like while like there's definitely like glassish texture around the face, but on a body not so much. So it was like it was mostly there. It was definitely a good starting point. And then it just carried on, and we just got
whoa, oh my god,
yeah, and it nails it. And there's loads of these. Like I was able to do a few of these.
Goodness, is that like a teddy bear head at the top?
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, so for some reason it missed off the head, but like it's nothing that couldn't be fixed with like
just merging the two, right?
Yeah. So I carried on. I was like, okay, I finally got what I wanted. And that's exactly what I asked for.
God.
I was like, yeah, I wanted gold liquid in a glass body of a woman, volumetric lighting, walking through like the fog. Nailed it. And I got this in like 5 minutes, right? After a couple of like query, like spin arounds. Yeah, and it goes on, man. Like we've got full like crazy texture work, like we were talking about this before.
Yeah, I've seen
different variations. So there's 2 versions of this.
Yeah.
And it just like and while it doesn't look that different, like the micro details on it are slightly shifted. If you're a texture artist and you're like wanting to find like awesome textures to use on your 3D models, Midjourney, you know, like there's like you really don't need Google search anymore because it just spits this stuff out for you, you know?
Yeah. And you can specify what size as well. So you can optimize on the fly. You don't need to take an image, up res it or down res it, or like make a square fit into a rectangle or things like that. You can properly just go, here's the aspect ratio. I need a texture to fit this aspect ratio because it's so big the model is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, I was starting to feel discouraged, and I was kind of like, you know what? At least like the stylized stuff is okay. Like at least like, you know, like this thing isn't going to be able to draw like, you know, like anime buildings or anything like that. So we're fine. Like it's not going to be like too crazy or anything. Yeah, I was wrong. So I did one of these like really, really quickly. I think this one was like a post office anime Studio Ghibli style, with a bunch of trees and grass and moss just to see what it could come up with. And it spat out a few of these, right?
Wow.
And even though they're mostly the same sort of form and stuff, they're completely different. And this one even like took the time to like add like a customer on the side. It's got like this little nook where like the post office entrance would be, and it looks incredible. Like, it looks really, really good.
Office above it, a maisonette type thing. You could see, and you know what the inside's going to look like, right? Based on this.
Exactly. So, and I wondered that myself. So I thought, you know, I'll take this a little bit further and I'll see what does it actually look like inside. And I started doing that as well. And I got this crazy awesome creature, which I didn't know what the hell to do with that. But I pushed that a little bit further and I was like, okay, so this is like the post office worker, right? So then it's got this creature in there. Just started pushing it, kept going. And this is all like based off this post office thing, right? Maybe there's a customer that came along. I refined this one. So now like there's this character like wandering into this entranceway where all this post office stuff is. And the amazing thing is as well, like all the text is not any language, like at all.
Yeah.
It looks like text, but
it looks like different languages, doesn't it?
None of it is like, it's not Japanese, it's not English, it's not like Taiwanese, it's nothing. It's just gibberish, but it's so well done that you can't actually tell what it is. And this character,
but your brain, the point is the brain goes, yeah, that's meant to be,
that's text.
That's meant to be text, right?
Yeah, that's text.
So it knows that, and our brain is going, yeah, that's text.
Yeah, and even on this little character here, like I didn't ask for this character, it was just, it threw it in, and when I refined it, because like the previous version had this, and I think it got this from like a post box originally. And then like at some point the AI was like, okay, and then there was like another black blob near it. So it changed that and morphed it into a character. And it was like, okay, like put legs on it because it already like starts to form like a human. And then.
But that in itself as well is such a genius character feature. Like a character going to the post office and part of them looks like a post box, or at least part of their clothing is inspired by what a post box would look like, so that they fit within that world and that environment. Like,
yeah, and then I did another one with like actual post boxes. So like it probably merged originally from that, so you can sort of see it. But yeah, absolutely fascinating stuff. So it does all these different styles, and then all these building types with like immense amount of detail. And then even like other creatures, like I did this one. Like I could never, and like the
it's
idea,
like fast food restaurant.
Yeah, it's a ramen place, right? I put in ramen store just to see what would happen. Same output, like anime and stuff. Like this idea with the creatures without like the detachable ears. Awesome idea, right? I would have never thought that, and it just like the AI just spat that out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. And I think I refined this one a bit more, and now he's got like this awesome grin on his face. And he just looks super happy to see you. Like he looks like he genuinely is there to serve you some ramen. And this was all done in seconds, right? And that's the thing about all of this, which is just, it's scary and nuts, absolutely terrifying.
And the fine detail on like the cables, but the composition of the cables as well is spot on.
Yeah.
For a mood piece.
Yeah. And and even this is the thing, like even the ones that quote unquote fail, like the ones that didn't get exactly what I wanted, they got me something, something to work from. Like this one, technically like it failed because it didn't give me like the female face which I was after. It just like the whole headpiece just turned into like a whole thing, like
headdress thing.
Right, there's no face on the character whatsoever. But there's nothing stopping me taking this and photo bashing that in literally seconds. So then I sat there and I thought about it and I was like, okay, what sort of faces could I put on this thing? So I started typing in faces and I got this. Right? And I could
what
totally
did you type in for that?
Hyper realistic dark fantasy young warrioress in Celtic headdress. Got exactly what I wanted. I had grey hair as well. That was the only other thing that I asked for. Gave me a few different hairstyles that it gave me. And I ended up going with this one because it was just unique, because it didn't have like a full fringe. It was like the parting at the top that came round after like the Celtic sort of things on her head. Looked awesome. I was like, yeah, I can totally like take this and put it on this, So like even the failures, like you can Midjourney your way around it. You know what I mean? And you can like get around it and find out different ways of doing it. So it just completely reduces that. But yeah, fascinating stuff altogether. It's just jumping between different styles, different themes, different subject matters, from characters to just texture work to environments, and getting exactly what I need as well. Because the way that Midjourney works, I guess we can just show people. That'd be the easiest way to sort of describe it.
Yeah, let's do one. Let's make one. Let's do it on the fly.
Yeah. So I'm not going to show my contact over here. I'll just like peek it in over the side so we can sort of see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So the way Midjourney works is it runs through a Discord server at the moment. Like I was working on these like little Japanese things yesterday, which look really cool.
They do look great.
Yeah. And so all you have to do, because it runs through a Discord server at the moment, you just have to run a thing called Imagine, and then you can put in a prompt, and that's it.
Yeah.
So what are we doing, Chris?
I still can't. Oh, let's do a.
Are we doing a character, an environment, like
sci-fi character? Yeah, and then you can think of the rest.
Sci-fi character. Trying to think. Should we do cyberpunk?
Sure. I've seen a lot of that stuff, so that's what people like, right?
We'll do a male this time because it's always female stuff. Full body. We want some neon lights in there, right?
Yeah. Do we want machinery parts? Prosthetic, something?
I don't want to go that far.
Okay.
Because I don't want to get some weird stuff. No offense to people that got prosthetics, obviously. I meant like the way that the AI sort of interprets that is a little bit different.
Oh, okay. The cyberpunk aspect should facilitate that, I guess.
Yeah, it should do. Robotic, we want volumetric.
So does that help it have more like 3D looking light?
Yeah, I think so. Like it adds more depth to it. It doesn't just make it flat. Like it actually adds like smoke and stuff like that.
I still haven't figured out how to do the reference image where you feed in a reference image.
I haven't done any of that yet. No, I've just been doing it like straight like this.
I've Googled it, but and I've tried it, but I've not got it to actually work yet. I don't know whether or not it's because it's Google Images or something. Not sure.
Doing photorealistic.
Yeah. And then like Octane or Unreal or both. Which, if you don't know what they are, they're rendering engines. So it draws from the images that they create, and because they create quite realistic, real-world lighting renders, and they're quite stylized, fantastical images that usually get made in these render engines, those usually crop up, making something look pretty cool. It's because it's drawing on that specific pool of images, I guess.
Yeah. I've also put intricate, cinematic, and what's the last one we should use? For another word for detail.
Oh.
I've already put full body. Intricate. I don't know. We'll see.
Complex.
Futuristic. All right. I think that'll do. We'll change the aspect ratio as well.
Yeah.
To 9:16, so it's a tall one.
Yeah.
Rather than like a full...
for the phone. Yeah. Exactly. Portrait. So you do --AR.
Yeah, for aspect ratio, and then you can put your aspect ratio whatever you want, and it can be anything as well. It doesn't have to be like lock things, and that's it. You just hit return.
Yeah. Hyphen right. -AR.
Yep. So now it says waiting to start, and it just starts loading in. So we've already seen that it's starting to think about it.
Got a blur.
Got a blur. It says here it's only at like 2%. So that's going to slowly load in.
Oh, 18%. We've got some neon colors.
Yeah, we definitely got some neon in there. And this is the thing, like most people look at it at this point and like, that doesn't look great. But
yeah, just wait.
So yeah, if you are listening to this on the audio podcast, like I am, we sort of encourage you to go and check out the YouTube video. But if not, it's cool. We'll describe it to you. We'll sort of try and work through this best we can. We've already got one that's headless, which is definitely a concern, but we'll see.
Or are his eyes where his pectoral muscles are?
Okay, yeah, he's loading in now.
Lights. Oh, he's just heads down, maybe.
Yeah. So at 73%. And this is the thing, this is only stage 1. So there's actually 2 stages to this, which we will sort of talk about in a minute. And we can sort of inspect these and sort of figure out like how good it actually got. Cool.
Wow. So we've got a cool massive guy that looks like he's got 2 sets of arms.
Yeah, this is kind of
they like robot arms on that. Is that the robot arms? Sort of. Well, it's got two sets of arms, which is cool.
Yeah, I guess you could see it like that, couldn't you?
And yeah, he's got some neon necklace stuff going on, and machinery around for a collar. We've got a guy that looks like he's got a mask on, or a robot face.
Yeah, this guy.
And he's got like a gas mask on. And
definitely got the volumetric lighting in there. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, very, very foggy. And the neon picking up in the fog, it looks great.
Yeah. So even though like they're actually, it's kind of failed in the respect that the proportions are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But thematically, it's kind of nailed what we were looking for. So what we asked for was sci-fi character. Yep. Cyberpunk. Yep. Male, full body for the most part. Yep. Neon lighting. Absolutely. Tech, robotic, volumetric lighting. Cool. Photorealistic. Octane, unreal, intricate, cinematic.
I don't know if it's photorealistic.
No, it's not there yet. And this is the sort of point, right? So we're at this point right now. So now that we've hit this is only like quarter of the job of what this thing can do. So let's go with I kind of like number 3, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with him. So down here you might be able to see it if you're on the video, but it gives you the we'll sort of describe this to you if you're an audio listener. But it gives you options. So 2 options it really gives you is, do you want to upscale one of the choices, or do you want to do a variation of one of the choices? So if you've got something that's like kind of close and you're like, yeah, like that's almost there, then you want to do a variation on that. So we'll try a variation on number 3 because we kind of like that. So then it's going to go through the same process, taking that original sort of image which we fed into it, and now it's going to do 4 variations just based on that one. Or what we can do, we might as well wait until this is done, or we can go to a full upscale, which is that's where it starts adding all the crazy detail and stuff.
Sure.
And it'll come out like this guy that we've got on the right hand side here, where like you see all these individual folds and stuff like that. We'll be able to get to that. So let's give us another 4 here. So
the color palette's the same, except the forms seem to have changed.
Yeah, so they've all slightly shifted. Like this guy, look at this guy. He's got hair.
He's got hair and like neon eyes.
This one's got ears, kind of like this guy.
Yeah, but his face and like what is its head form? It's a bit difficult to figure that out.
Sure.
But the interesting where the lights are on like the forearms. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that is kind of strange, isn't it? This guy's probably the most traditional, number 3.
Yeah.
He's got like this sort of helmet.
And also, I'd say number 4 looks like it's a more female frame, even though we specified a male frame.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would still call that male. I call that like Japanese anime male. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
okay.
A bit more effeminate, but not in a bad way. It definitely still looks cool. It's just
it definitely
different.
looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, which one do we want to upscale?
I like 1 just because I want to see where the hair what
you see what that does. Okay. Yeah, we can try that. So we'll go ahead and we like number 1, so we're going to upscale. And now it's going to take a hot minute to do this one, but it's still completely reasonable. The fact that we've got all this sort of stuff out of it already, and in minutes, basically. This is why it's a problem for concept artists, because we're just looking at this like this is kind of insane, like how quickly that this can bang this sort of stuff out.
How quickly would this sort of thing have taken you? What we've done now?
A day. So you can imagine, like, if you had unlimited resources and you had this running on your own machine and it spat out 20 variations and you could pick different bits and do all that, get exactly what you need without the need of any concept artist in less than a day and get into a final character, which would normally take about a week of just going back and forth feedback.
Because I can Photoshop, so I can move things around. I can get faces, plonk them on.
Yeah,
I can move bits and pieces and scrub out any like imperfections and.
Yeah, I mean, like the details on this, like the jewelry and so you don't know if it's flowers or what. Like you'd never get all that in.
But that's where all the good stuff is. Like I remember in Star Wars when they did the concept for what was the guy with the double lightsaber? Darth Maul. The concept artist originally had like feathers, like a feather headdress on Darth Maul.
Yeah.
But then they were like, as a stylized piece. And then they were like, this is cool. George Lucas was like, this is cool. Let's do some versions of this. And then it was given to another artist. And another artist interpreted that as horns. And that's why the horns are on Darth Maul. And originally it was feathers. So that was through just like, that was like a little mishap. And so I like how Midjourney seems to be able to run with those mishaps and make some cool stuff that like one person working on their own might not be able to come up with. Like the floating ears. That's a cool concept idea, right? For a studio
Right.
Ghibli sort of thing.
So yeah, we got our final version here of our cyberpunk guy. Like the volumetric lighting is very successful. Like it looks like he's literally coming out of the mist for one. Forms are still a little bit off, but in terms of details, like it's awesome. Like we've got some really cool stuff here. So like the choices,
and the hair's completely gone.
Right, the hair's gone, but we've still got like this cool sort of robotic face. So it's more of a robot now rather than a human, which is interesting. You get like all this cool sort of like arm patches that are neon lights. We didn't ask for those, but we got them. You know, we knew that there was going to be neon in the piece somewhere. The neon jacket zip, we didn't ask for that specifically, and we got that.
That's a cool feature. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't have thought of these things. It's just we spat it in. So you can imagine going through this sort of process over and over and over again and finding all them individual bits and then being able to compile all them at the end. Super interesting stuff. Just the color palette is all sort of kind of unified and nice. Like it's definitely got this tropey cyberpunk look to it, which isn't a bad thing. It's kind of exactly what we asked for.
It's like a really dark teal. It's actually really cool color.
Yeah, and then it sort of matches like and then the splashes of orange in there really pop out because they just looks awesome. And it's stuff like this, like that's the sort of power of this thing, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's taken minutes. Like what would take you a day is taking minutes.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like if I did it and it took me a day, the proportions would be better. I'd be able to fine tune a lot more things. But like I said, it's just if it was this in a vacuum and it was only this, then it'd be fine. But the fact that I can just keep hitting refresh over and over and over again, you know what I mean? And I can get exactly what I want, like in the case of this guy.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that I just kept going and you get so many different things.
Yeah, that's so usable. All the high concept stuff.
Yeah.
The thing it can't do is you can't specify what aspects of it you like, can you? You can't go keep the head, keep the shoulders, keep the torso, but
that's the
tweak
next step.
the feet.
And I think that when that happens, and we're going to get there, I think they're aiming towards that now. We're going to get to the point.
Do you reckon be able to paint the keep bit?
That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to do like a markup version, which you can literally just circle stuff that you like that you want to keep, or stuff that you want to change the variation on, and it'll keep those bits, and then it'll just slowly morph around the other stuff. Or you'll be able to cross section them. That's when it gets really crazy. When you get two AI pictures done side by side, you mark up each one, and then you say, okay, now do a combination. Like I like these individual bits, combine them. And then that's where it's like, okay, we've hit a point now where we're giving AI feedback on artwork that they can reproduce. And that's like really the hard work's done, right? Like this, the engine is done. Like this part is the hard bit. So the fact that they've already done this, it's just once they get to the feedback bit, it's sort of over at that point. We're sort of screwed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah. I think jobs will go. I hope it's not as many as what I think it will be, and I hope it doesn't just wipe it out. And I hope the games companies just act like human beings and do it slowly and just take the hit on the money.
I think, I mean, this is like a lot of people have had conversations about this over the last sort of couple of years, which is, the AI companies are gonna, help solve that problem. The AI companies are going to reduce the fact that you can just go into Midjourney right now, type in another artist as a part of the prompt and say, I want my artwork to look like this person. And a lot of them are saying right now, like, we're going to exclude.
Does that mean there's no other artist, right? That's it. We've ended new art, I guess.
Right, to an extent. And a lot of AI companies have started saying, like we're looking at maybe blocking that, like you can sort of not be a part of that. You can say, hey, I don't want to be a part of the AI sort of database, like take my name and artwork out of it sort of thing. So I'm not like a part of the, so you can't just like use my artwork to reproduce all this sort of stuff. Right. At first, that's absolutely going to be the case. And that's what everyone's sort of focused on right now. In the long term, that's slowly going to fade away. Because people have said like that's not really fair and things like that. But really, like on a manual standpoint, from a manual standpoint, I could now go into Google right now, find another artist, look at their art style, and emulate that manually as an artist. I could sit there and be like, all right, I want my artwork to look exactly like this. I really like Yoshitaka Amano's work, which is a Japanese artist. Really love his work. I could sit there and I could learn watercolors and I could emulate his style. If I can physically do that, like, what is the legal standpoint of an AI doing that? There's really none to be had, because the original, like the final artwork that the AI creates is going to look so different from anything that the original artist did, that it's going to be out of the realm of copyright to an extent. And it's kind of, we're kind of hitting that point already. So it's going to be a really interesting spot when the legal side of this comes in, but ultimately the AI is going to win, I think.
I think so. I think you're right. It's just going to save so much money, and that's what talks, especially in the tech industry, right?
Yeah, it's just money and time is the main thing. Because at the end of the day, art directors want your best work and they wanted it yesterday. If they can just hit refresh on Midjourney for 2 hours and get exactly what they wanted, which would have taken 2 concept artists a week to finish, like, why are they gonna? Like, it just makes sense. And I wanted sort of like, I mean, we're coming up to like an hour now on the talk, but I want to sort of end this on a positive point, which is,
let's try and do that.
Which is, what is the positive point? No, the positive point is you. This is the thing, right? So you, Chris, are not a concept artist, right? Yet you've been able to produce these awesome artworks. And over time, you're going to learn, even though you're not a creative person in terms of like 2D artwork. I mean, you might be to some extent, but like pretend you're not for a second, right? Say Chris never held a pencil. He's like, whenever he holds it backwards and he keeps shoving up his nose instead of like drawing on the paper. He's so bad at it, right? Now, with just like a few keywords, and you could get really good at the keywords bit, you can produce artwork that can inspire you, that you can use in like your commercial use stuff. You don't have to rely on anyone else. You're saving a lot of money, and you can get like really, really awesome stuff. That's got to be a positive, right? Like that's just got to be. Yeah,
I haven't tried to. I mean, I've got some like I've with my game Focus Find, I've tried to create some like fungusy type cell stuff, microscopic, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of happy with them. I think I do need to fine tune it a bit more for it to fit in with what I've already created. And also like the another problem is that I can't just plonk that onto, like, I can't just plonk that into the game as it is.
But I mean, like even as a concept piece, right? Though that helps you. Piece. That helps you imagine. That helps you get inspired by it, right? Like you're like, 100%. Oh, like look at that, like look at the grainy texture on the edge of the cell there. You know, like what if I could get some of that in? Or like one of the first things which I did was did some like focus findy stuff, and I sent them over to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey Chris, check these out. Like use these for your game.
That's kind of what inspired me to go for it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do it now because it's just so quick. And you know, I did spend a lot of time trying to find the right textures. Like I was just trying to find a sea texture.
Yeah.
But there's no good, cheap, big ones. They're all paid for, or they've got the wrong angle. Like they've been taken from a drone and they've got an angle on them, and it's fine. But I just can't really use that to the same effectiveness. And then with this, I'm sure I could get a good like sea light reflection texture going on.
Yeah.
Without spending hours of kit bashing, which I have been doing.
Yeah, it was these guys, right? Like I sent you these.
Yeah.
And just even how like that, like the nucleus in the middle, I saw that and I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if Chris could get that into his. So like you could actually see it like all on this guy on the left-hand side. Like where it's kind of like a bit blurry almost.
Textured on the sides, but then blurry in the middle.
Yeah, so it kind of looks like there's something in there. Like that's the thing that's actually controlling the whole orb almost. So it's not like the orb itself. It's just like it's got like this brain to it, and that's the thing that's actually controlling. So maybe that moves before the actual orb does. So it looks like it's almost dragging it along. And
like
you just,
an eye.
Yeah, and you just get these ideas from just like typing in a few things and coming up with this sort of stuff. So yeah, so much like possibility, which is great. Like for people like you, because the analogy which I gave before, like I am the old school sort of the printer, right? Like I am the guy that's like screen printing stuff. Customer comes in, And now they don't have to come to me and pay me and listen to my BS all day, like talking about paper thickness and scamming them out of like how many flyers they need to buy. They can just sit at home and just hit return, and then like the printer starts spitting stuff out, and like, dope, this is exactly what I needed. So there's got to be some sort of that's got to be like the bright side, I hope, at least.
Yeah, the bright side is that more people have access to create things that they couldn't dream of doing before for such low money, like for so cheap. So it's like, yeah, it's given this amazing tool to so many people. So much usability and functionality is coming out of this. Especially for me, I'm reaping the rewards 100%.
Yeah.
And I've only just started. I've only just scratched the surface. When I get good at typing in the stuff and thinking about practical applications for like my video game or like games that I might work on in the future.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a quick turnaround, like you've got a quick pitch, you've got to come up with a quick game idea, you can just quickly get some visuals to help sell the idea. So like convincing people with images just got to load quicker, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term as well, this is going to benefit concept artists as well in the short term. Everything that I'm sort of talking about is the long term anyway. So in the short term, concept artists are going to be able to use this as a tool. Like they're going to be able to use this as their own mock-ups that they can then go and paint over and then give to the art director. The art director's like, that's exactly what I wanted. Awesome.
Can you say whether or not you've used it professionally?
I haven't used it professionally yet, but I absolutely plan to, without a doubt. Like, why not? Like, I would be stupid not to. But it's only a matter of time because while that's all good and well working right now, but once one of these concept artists that do use this pipeline become art directors themselves, then they're the ones that are going to be like, yeah, I don't need to hire concept artists. I've got Midjourney. I can just use that for a while. I'll hire one concept artist that can like pull this stuff together and like actually do it because I know how difficult that was or whatever. But for the most part, I don't need to hire like 2 juniors to do mood paintings anymore. Screw that.
And they don't need to be very good either, right?
They really don't, because it's about the idea. That's the thing about concept art. It's very little to do with the rendering stuff. Like, well, yeah, I mean, it is important to get stuff that looks great. That goes without saying. But
talented artists should,
do both.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's about the idea. So, and if Midjourney can spit out a bunch of ideas for you really, really quick, there's really no reason why you wouldn't use it. You know, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, especially for the pursuit of technology. Technology marches on, right? We don't have any control over that. We got to just get used to it and get on with it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you're a young kid that wants to draw pictures all day, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you can. That's the thing. Like, we're going to get to the point where we're going to have to buy like asset packs to feed into AI, right? Like, that's the weird thing. So we're going to need quote unquote manual artists to like create this sort of stuff that can feed into the AI, and we'll get like per studio sort of style packs or whatever at some point, like, or they'll be able to sell stuff that you can feed directly into an AI, much like we do right now with like photo packs and kit bashing and stuff. Like we'll have AI bashing at some point, and it's going to happen. But the thing is with all of these, like everything else, like technology will march on and the tool is going to get better. And when it gets so good to the point that we're not going to be really needed that much anymore, it's going to be a scary time.
Yep.
But
not a good time.
It does open up.
A good time. Yeah. It depends. Yeah, we try to end it on the good note. It is a good time.
We try. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It depends who you are, right? Like, I'm trying to look at this from the bright side as a concept artist. Like, this opens up a lot of opportunities for people that are working in the indie industry, for example. Like, people that can't afford a concept artist or want to create assets for their game and they can't because they just can't afford it. Now they can.
I've got the budget for it. Now that they've got the budget for it.
Yeah. Now that they can. And on top of that, like, this is going to slowly seep into, like, sorry, 3D artists, but you're next. Brace yourselves. You are next. Unless you do stylized stuff. If you're making like photorealistic props right now, you need to seriously brace yourself and go and check this stuff out because it's coming.
Especially if it's real life props that can be photo scanned.
Yes.
In seconds. Yeah, because there'll be libraries of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's different world.
Yep. Well, this has been fun. It's been a bit of a different episode. It's not every day you get an industry changing tool to talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, but now that it, like, Midjourney, I think it was like 2 weeks ago they opened up to the public. Like, it's been in closed beta for a while, and people have been talking about it slowly behind the curtain sort of thing. Like, this thing is coming, and it's coming fast. Now that it's been opened up and I've actually had to play around with it, the second I spat out my first set of images, I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm done. Like, there's really no reason to draw a lot of this sort of stuff. Like, there's no point in sketching anymore, because I can just, and then like just wait a couple of seconds and then it's in,
Yeah.
Different world. But
yeah,
I mean, like if you're watching this in 2035 and you're laughing, just know, like, this was a sea change for us. Like, we weren't expecting this to come along. We didn't think that computers could draw stuff for us. I know that sounds absolutely ludicrous to you now in 2035. But yeah, we didn't see it coming. So
it's the equivalent of like computers coming along, right? You used to be drawing stuff on a board, like technical drawings and things, and it's the equivalent of someone rocking up with like an Apple computer, and then just like drawing something on a
computer
on that. Yeah.
Or like you're riding down the street on your horse and a car drives by. You're like, what is that? Sort of thing. Same thing. Oh, that'll never catch on.
That'll never
catch on. You have to find places to put petrol in it. You have to, like, whether it breaks down, you need a mechanic. You don't need a mechanic for a horse. It's ridiculous. Car's never going to work.
Yeah, I think it's as big a sea change. Yeah. It's exciting time.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know in the comments. Are you a concept artist? Are you pulling your hair out? Are you not worried? Do you think it's going to catch on? Are you going to be looking for a new job? Let us know in the comments section.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad. Yeah, like I said, I think it's still like going to be 10 years before we see like the full problems from it. But
full impact.
Yeah, I mean, if you are coming into the industry right now, though, like, you need to not ignore this. You need to pay strong attention to this and either use it in your workflow as much as you can, or brace yourself that the job is going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot more competitive. You're going to have to be at like a senior level to even break in the future, which is sort of nuts. But it's good for competition. Or like, it's going to motivate you guys. It's going to help with that. It's going to be a tool that you can use in your workflows for the time being, at least. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully people I know aren't affected by it directly or like that. But it's only a matter of time. It's a shame, but it is one of those things that it is only a matter of time.
Yeah, but it changes so often, like 5 years anyway, right? So if it wasn't going to be this, it would have been something else.
I've heard people use that sort of reasoning behind it, and someone said to me, it's the equivalent of like when Amazon came along with the Kindle, and they brought about like the end to like the book publisher, right? Because like you can just download books digitally now and stuff like that. And while I understand that sort of comparison, like the difference between physical books and digital books, it's not exactly that. It's if you went to, it's the equivalent of taking out the author and removing the author from the equation. That's what we're doing now. We're not just changing
saving
the format.
Money by not employing authors. Right?
Yeah, we've already been through that. We stopped drawing on pencil and paper years ago. Like, we've been drawing on digital tablets for decades now. Like, we already made that shift. Like, that's old shift. We're at the point now where the artist is getting replaced. The author that's writing these books is getting replaced. And I mean, music's going through this as well. There's a bunch of AI that's like writing music right now and killing it as well, doing really good stuff. Like, you would not, like, you can make it listen to a couple of different artists and combine them together, and it will make you a song that it sounds like. The only thing it hasn't got is the audio. So if you're a music composer, like, people are already like shaking in their boots from this.
Wow.
So yeah, nuts.
Fun time.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Fun time to be a human.
Yeah. It's hey, if you're an AI and you're listening to this, I mean, congrats on the new job. Right.
You got some downtime.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Like, we were trying to look at the bright side. Like, don't come and kill us or anything. Like, with your little AI drones that can like pin us in the head like from a mile away or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
we're on your side.
We're on your side. We love you, bro. I was like, joking aside, like, I always say that to my wife, like, whenever she, when like Alexa doesn't listen to you properly or something, it's like, oh, for God's sake, Alexa, or whatever like that. I'm always like, no, you be polite, because when the robots come, they'll be like, I remember this one, So
this one was rude to me when I didn't understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kill that one, not that one. The male is okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, thank you. Yeah, I always say that to her.
I guess that's a good time to wrap up.
Yeah, we should wrap this up.
Contemplating.
Yeah. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for listening in this week. We really appreciate it. We know that we haven't had too much news happen over the past couple of weeks. It's not really our fault. It's just the games industry has been incredibly quiet.
And the stuff that is coming out, we just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's very PR-y, you know, like it's very we're just recycling stuff that other studios are talking about. The only other big news that really happened, which wasn't really worth talking about, was like Tencent were interested in Ubisoft shares. Shock. And then was it like Blizzard Activision sort of getting pulled back and forth between Sony and Xbox. Like Xbox are trying to say that the Activision deal isn't that big of a deal. And then PlayStation are saying it absolutely is a big deal. Like it's sort of like taking console sales away from us. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's why they literally, you know, did the deal. Like that's obvious.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere actually in the middle between those things. It's all just noise. Like they're just trying to get the deal through.
Nothing that's going to be any conversation.
Nothing's really happened too big. Last of Us 1 keeps leaking because people aren't happy with it internally, I guess. That's about it though. Yeah. But yeah, if you're affected by this, like by the AI stuff, like we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you completely disagree with me? I know a lot of people do, and I don't know if that's out of fear or if that's just because they genuinely disagree. But I'd love to hear like your thoughts on it as well, and your opinions, because like if you could put my mind at ease, I would appreciate it. That'd be great, because I'm shaking my boots. I'm a senior concept artist at one of the world's biggest AAA studios, so if I'm not getting affected, then you guys aren't either, so I'm that would be a good thing. So, like, please reassure me, please. I'll just agree with me.
It's okay, Vin. You're overreacting. It's just a tool. Chill out.
Yeah. I hope that's the case. But yeah, we'll see. We will see. But yeah, Chris, where can people find you? So
I'm making a game, an indie game called Focus Find. You can wishlist that on Steam. You can find me on Twitter at Acrylic Pixel. I've got a YouTube video, Acrylic Pixel. Patreon, Acrylic Pixel. I think that's it. Yeah, where can we find your stuff in?
Yep, you can find me on all sorts of places under Hillfork Games. So you can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and on Steam as well. You can wishlist my game, which is long gone. Yeah, please wishlist.
You've seen it on TikTok.
You've probably seen it on TikTok at this point, and that's not my fault. It's just the algorithm picked it up and sort of decided to show everyone apparently. But yeah, I appreciate it either way. So yeah, other than that, you can just subscribe here. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that sort of good stuff. And we will see you next week. So until then,
take care. Bye-bye.
Johnny.